So you think buying a second home in Colorado is out of the question? Well, in this video, we're gonna be talking to you about buying a second home in Colorado versus buying an investment property. And you're gonna wanna stick around into the end because we're gonna give you some insights into why buying an investment property in Colorado is actually more attainable than you might think. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. This channel is all about living in Salida, Colorado and the real estate market here. So if you're interested in that, please be sure and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications so you're the first to know when new informative videos become available. My name is McCarthy. I'm a realtor in Salida, Colorado that specializes in this area. I get calls all the time from people just like you looking to move here. So if you're interested in moving to this area, be sure and reach out to me. All my contact information is below. And I'm here today with Jess Fisher. He is my preferred lender and he specializes in all of Colorado. So if you're interested in buying any property in this area and getting some lending information, be sure to reach out to him. His information's below as well. All right, thank you for being with us today, Jess. So we're gonna talk to you guys about why buying an investment property in Colorado might be more attainable than you think, and a little bit about the difference between buying a second home and buying an investment property. So let's start there. What's the difference between buying a second home and an investment property?
Quite simply, an investment property, you're looking more to rent out the property.
Okay.
Second home, you're more looking to just reserve it as a second home. Place for you and your family or friends to go that you don't necessarily have the intent of making any income or generating any sort of dollars through.
Okay, so it's kind of just like sitting there. And so maybe if you're going to be there a lot, you'd want to do the second home camp. Or,
Sometimes you see second homes where somebody in the family, a grandparent or somebody buys a home as like a family gathering place.
Gotcha.
And so the extended family, and they've got a calendar where they kind of chop up the year to see who's going to go when the big gathering is going to be. That's kind of more the intent of the second home.
But then investment, so highlight that a little bit. Obviously, you're making money, investment, but like...
Yeah, the idea is typically to be renting it out. That's kind of just... in a nutshell, that your intent is to buy the home, to rent out, to generate some sort of income.
Okay. And so historically, we were kind of talking about this from a buying perspective. There used to be a difference between the two in terms of rates.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit, that landscape has changed some, right?
Yeah, so prior to a few years ago, second homes would, generally speaking, have a little bit better rates. Possibly due to the lower inventory. I'm making the assumption, the lower inventory that we were seeing around the country, that they kind of changed that and didn't make it such a low rate. And became a rate on par with investment properties. Okay,
so it's about the same to buy a second home versus an investment property.
I mean, some lenders, it is the same. They don't even price it any different. So the rates are the same. The difference, I guess, would be on the amount of down payment. You can purchase a second home with 10% down. You're not going to get the best rate at 10% down, but it's possible. Can't really do that with an investment property, but we'll talk a little bit later about some other ways to be able to make it happen. 20% is kind of the standard. The sweet spot to get the best rate is really 25% now. So that's kind of been coming up a little bit, but 25%.
25% down. We're talking about conventional loans here.
Yeah, like it could, thank you for clarifying. That's a conventional kind of standard loan that most people know about. Is that 10, 20, and 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking of purchasing that second home or investment property, that's the amount that you'd want to have allocated for it. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit more about why an investment property might be more favorable than a second home. Now that the rates are about the same, the down payment is, I guess, a little bit more for an investment property. Why would that be financially viable for somebody?
Yeah, great question. So we were talking about this 10%, 20%, and 25% down for kind of a conventional investment second home. The lending landscape really is kind of favoring the idea of an investment property. What do I mean by that? There's more products out there that support people being able to qualify for an investment property over a second home. So for example, you're self-employed and you don't show a lot of income. You may not qualify for a second home because you don't show enough income. But if you are buying an investment property, you can get a rental offset. So the appraisal happens, and then there's another additional kind of layer to that where the appraiser looks at what's the potential rental income of this property. And then that gets deducted off because that's considered income. The potential income.
That income.
So if you're showing low income, doing the investment property route and offsetting it with the rent schedule, actually you may qualify it. And here's the cool thing. Just because you're buying it as an investment property doesn't mean you can't use it as your second home.
This doesn't have to be be long-term rentals.
Yep.
I mean, this can be, midterm rentals are kind of the sweet spot where it's 30 days and above, but like you could do short-term rentals as well. So still have access to the home.
Yeah, and access to the season. We have people that come from all over Colorado and the surrounding area to go to Monarch Ski Mountain.
Yeah.
I talked to several couples this last season who are renting from other people for almost either the whole month or pretty much the whole season. But that could be you if you wanted it to be, and have your own place and then rent it out in the off season or whatever season that you're, not able to be in Salida. It's a great way to do it. There's also debt service coverage ratio.
Okay.
Where you don't have to show any income as long as the potential rent from that property covers the mortgage, then you can get the home. Even as the borrower, you don't have to show any income. So again, self-employed entrepreneurs, some people have very complex financial structures, or simply just don't make enough money to fit the debt to income ratio. Well, a DSCR loan, as long as the rent covers the mortgage.
So you're finding that asset. And this is the investment property option versus the second home option. So you're showing that you're renting it out. So that might be, maybe you need to rent it out more to offset that income, but you'd be able to access the property some as well.
You'd be able to access the property, and once the loan's closed, there's no rental obligation.
Okay.
That's the intent, and the lender will expect that you're following through with your intent to have it as an investment property, just to be clear about that. But how much you rent it out, when you rent it out, is it long-term, short-term, all those kind of things, that's really up to you as the buyer of the home.
To move forward with that.
To move forward with that. One other huge benefit from an investment standpoint is you can purchase a home with an LLC.
So talk more about that. What would that look like?
If you have your own business or you're trying to create a real estate portfolio, you can buy homes with the LLC. And that provides you some layers of protection, and there's some additional benefits doing it that route. You're not able to do that when you're buying a second home.
Because you have to do that in your personal name.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So not able to buy it with an LLC. And so an investment property will allow you to do that. So depending on how your income is structured, some people have businesses but don't pay themselves. For example, it's just all in the business. So it's hard to show personal income. But if the business shows enough income, you can buy an investment.
Gotcha. Okay. So that opens up some more doors. From the
I mean, there's a bunch of different angles, and there's even more products than this.
We're kind of just giving you like the overview.
Yeah.
So talk to Jess. He's got more options for you if you're looking at the investment property. Another thing just to mention in terms of if you're watching this because you're interested in the Salida, Colorado area specifically, with an investment property and the rental piece, I talk to people all the time who want to be here for maybe just the summer or just the winter. It depends if you're a river person versus a ski person, because we've got both here. And they're renting it out. We have traveling nurses that work at the hospital that need month-to-month rentals, so that's a really good way to fill in the gaps, as well as seasonal workers for both the river and Monarch Mountain. So this area supports the model of having some midterm rentals, short-term rentals. There are some regulations, so reach out to me if you've got questions about that in terms of licensing and the different areas of town that allow certain things. So those are an option, but let's talk about specifics. And then there's obviously the long-term rental as well. So you have these layers of options to fill in the gaps of the time you want to use the property. And if you're somebody who lives out of state and you're only going to come here a handful of times a year, let's get you an investment property, rent it out, and you've got some income.
And so really, if we kind of zoom out a little bit, a second home has rental limits. An investment property doesn't have second home limits. You have more flexibility, not only in the purchasing of the property, but in how you want to structure and interact with that property, how often you rent it, when your family goes there, all that kind of stuff. And then in addition to that is there's more potential. I am not a tax advisor. This is not financial advice, but there is a potential for more tax deductions as well too with investment property
versus a second home.
So when we're looking at second home, probably mortgage insurance, same with an investment property. But with an investment property, there's depreciation, there's loss, there's business expenses, all those things. Just the cost to get the rental going, right? So
cleaning
furnishing,
fees, all
cleaning,
the things.
all that stuff has the potential, again, talk to your tax advisor,
Yeah.
but all that stuff has a potential to be a write-off as well too.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot more flexibility from start to finish on purchasing an investment property, and then what somebody chooses to do with that property once it's been purchased is up to them. And so there's flexibility in there too.
Yeah, and just another point I just thought of is just if you're you're in a financial position to purchase another property, but you don't want to just hold it like as a second home and you want to have some income coming in, then look into these options as an investment property. So say you're wanting to come here in a few years and you find something you like now, you can keep it as an investment property for a while and talk about the options to change that in the future if you want to end up moving here. And we'll
I mean, and it's a good point in planning ahead too. So let's just switch gears for just 1 second and kind of focus a little bit more on the second home. Is if somebody's starting out, they don't have a property yet, one of the things that can be done is you actually buy what's going to be your second home property as your primary, live in that, save up, and then go buy your primary residence. Then this one over here can be your second home, and you've got primary rates, you got your mortgage and all that. So that's one way to kind of, and in particular, if you are able to have access to a VA loan or a USDA loan, is
you get better rates.
You buy one property, you live in it till you find you buy your second home property first, and then you buy your primary residence, and then that's zero down potentially on any of those, and you get good rates. But that's prior planning. A lot of people aren't quite into that or don't have that flexibility. So to your point with the investment property, that's a great way to get started.
Kind of just like get in this area and get that going. So the point of this is there's some creative solutions for you if it feels too hard to hold those two houses as one that you're only going to a few times a year. Look into the investment option and get in a beautiful place where it's a good area to invest in. Prices are continuing to rise here in the Salida area in Colorado as well. You would be able to make some money and create a portfolio for yourself.
At the end of the day, everybody, there is so many options out there right now for investment property lending that if it's something that you want to do, it's worth exploring the possibility, because you may think that you can't get it, but I think you'd be surprised what's possible.
So
it's
worth looking into. So, well, thanks for that information. If you've got questions about any of that, we went over some high level stuff. So, Jess can definitely get more customized for you to talk about all the different options for you. Reach out to him. His information's below. If you're interested in looking at property or learning more about living in the Salida, Colorado area, reach out to me. Again, I'm Monica McCarthy, a realtor that specializes in this area. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.